series of webinar, which we continue to do it, host it. And today we are getting together to have a webinar on strategic approach for research and innovation. And I personally feel that this particular topic, where we focus on research, where we focus on innovation leading to advances in our own personal growth, advancements in our own activities. And finally, when we go towards attaining certain bit of confidence leading to generation of employment, oblique making yourself employable, oblique leading to entrepreneurship. I think all these things starts with a basic, and that basic happens to be a little bit focus and interest in innovation and research. So we have amongst ourselves Dr. Shripad Batlavande. Welcome, Dr. Shripad Batlavande.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, am I audible?
Very clear, yes. Shripad, you're very clearly audible. Dr. Shripad, who is amongst us, ladies and gentlemen, needs no introduction. A very young faculty amongst us, but extremely talented and qualified. Suffice to say the least that he is recipient of AICT Vishweshwaraya Best Teachers Award for the last year. So having reached that level, wherein in his academic discipline, having reached that level, we couldn't have found a better speaker to come on a platform and be addressing faculty members across the country. There are two folds, why we ask for speakers to come. Number one is with a single reason that he or she happens to be master in their subjects, which Shripad is undoubtedly. And number two, the person acts as a motivational factors to many more to perform better and come up to the expectations of yourself. None of us are working for somebody else's expectation. As long as you work for your own satisfaction and perform, I think that should be the best. And we heartily welcome on behalf of Chairman Anil Sahasrabudhe sir, Vice Chairman Professor Punia sir, and the Member Secretary Professor Rajiv Kumar sir. We welcome Dr. Shripad Batlavande once again.
Thank you, sir.
Shripad, that without wasting any time, take on the session and address the gatherings. Each one of us is eagerly looking forward to listening from you.
Thank you, sir. The
floor is all yours.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So good afternoon. Honorable Director FDC, Colonel Dr. Venkat sir, and all participants. As we all aware that AICT is on a mission to inculcate the culture of research and innovation in our country. And for this, AICT has been providing tremendous opportunities to every individual institute, faculty member, student in our country. And the overall planning, like we have been saying since last 2 years to 3 years, we have been saying the overall planning and then the execution and then the monitoring strategies are exemplary. I would say it is much better than any corporate industry culture. And for this, I personally would like to thank and congratulate Honorable Director FDC, Colonel Dr. Venkat sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this kind invitation and opportunity. Thank you once again. And so with your permission, may we start the session? Yes. So, Mr. Saurabh, please let me know if my screen is visible. Mr. Saurabh, am I audible? Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, so we will be discussing on strategic approach for culture of research and innovation in any of our institute and how to build that culture and how systematically, methodically we can do that. We will be discussing in the next 2 hours. This is general outline of this discussion. Yes. So this is general outline, ground truth, performance parameters, action plan, and finally takeaways from this session. Okay. So first of all, we would like to understand like how research happens in our country. And before that, like again, like on that timeline, we will go little like behind, and then we would like to understand how research happens in the entire world and who are the people contributing in research or doing research, right? So this is the reference point, right? Ground truth means reference. So first of all, we would like to understand that, and then gradually we will come to like our stage, and then the basic method for that. Okay, so now for that, like first of all, we would like to understand how world academia works, and then after that, like we will see how that evolution happened and where exactly we are right now. So now world academia, if you see in this world, there are four types of institutions. The first is like the first category is like MIT, Stanford, and then so on, those institutions. And if you see their constitution or composition, so the 50% intake comes from PhD, and then around 20% students are from PG, and 30% students are from UG, undergraduate, right? And similarly, the second category of institutions are IISCs and IITs, like the premier institutes in our country. 40% students comes from this discipline, PhD, then 20% again PG, and 40% students are UG. The third tier institutes are NITs and IITs, and in them also, if you see 30% students, 30% intake is PhD, 20% is again like PG, and then around 50% intake is UG students. Now, if you come to autonomous institutes and private engineering colleges, right? So like, where exactly we are right now, right? So like our institutions. So if you see those institutions, so in those institutions, you will see most of the intake is from here, if you see, is from undergraduate program. So only 10% students, 20% students at max, they come from PhD or PG, and 80% students come from undergraduate programs. Now, if you see overall world academia, so the most of the significant research happens at PG or PhD level, and the faculty members are very important part, and they are guiding those masters and doctoral students, and through them they are driving the research. But we need to try to understand that most of the research is carried by PG and PhD students, right? But then is there any way out? Like, means what is like motivation for us then? Like, because in most of our institutions, undergraduate students are large in number, right? And with them also, very effectively, we can carry out research and we can like get those results basically. Okay, so this was about world academia, and now we will see like how those academic institutions or research institutions evolved. So quickly we would like to go through those institutions. Now again, like for this to understand, we will consider four countries. So the first country is let us say United States, right? So we'll start with United States, and these are the three phases we will be like discussing. The phase one, each phase is of around 25 years, and the phase one started somewhere around 1970, right? 1970 to 19, like you can say 95 around, right? So in phase one, if you see United States, in phase one, they were having many institutions, right? And if you see the facilities at those universities or institutions, they were very like not good, you may say average. So they were having average facilities for or in their institutions. And then in phase two, what they did, they started developing facilities in those academic institutions. And then they simultaneously started scaling their institutions in terms of both quality as well as quantity. And now, after so many years, now if you see in third phase, if you see there, most of the institutions are quality institutions. Now, for that matter, now we will come to next country, China, right? Our neighbor now, right? And the main competitor that way, right? So in China, if you see, in the first phase, there were large number of institutions. So quantity institutions means whoever want to start educational institute, Chinese government used to allow them, right? So China had initially large number of institutions, and now Then after that in phase two also they were not having good facilities. They were focusing on that. They were building those facilities in their institutions. But compared to United States, they were not having those facilities. And then now, if you see if you see in phase three, there most of the institutions are quality institutions. If we see the world ranking, so almost like 60% institutions are from United States, somewhere around 20% institutions are from China, and then 10% institutions are from, like, if you see, are from like the next country, that is Russia, right? So in Russia also, more or less same, like scene was there, picture was there. Initially, they were having many institutions. Then they simultaneously started developing like the number of institutions as well as facility at those institutions. And now in phase three, most of the institutions are quality institutions in Russia. Now, if we come to our country now in India, initially in the first phase, only government institutions were there, and the facilities were extraordinary. The facilities were good. And then the next phase, we were having private engineering institutions or private technical institutions. And the facilities were like, we all are aware about the facilities in our all private engineering institutions. And now we are like, somewhere like average facilities, right? As far as government institutions are there, they are best, they are performing best, their facilities are best, and their results are also extraordinary. As far as private engineering institutions are concerned, like they are trying their best, right? And they are also developing their facilities, overall infrastructure, and in the quality index, they are also like moving ahead. And the basic driving force is AICT, right? So now you can see now the current phase now. In current phase is right now, if you see the overall like picture, so in that picture right now we are at quantity phase, and the next phase is what? Quality phase. Whether we want to be part of it or not doesn't matter. The next phase is going to happen, and it is what? Quality phase. And the quality phase, what are the key performance parameters for quality phase? There are only two things, that is research and innovation, right? And that's why now we need to very consciously and systematically prepare ourselves for research and culture of research and innovation. Okay, fine. So now, where exactly we are right now? So now, as we all are aware that the government of India, and especially AICT New Delhi, they are very consciously and systematically, they are driving culture of research and innovation in our country. Now, if we come to, let us say, National Board of Accreditation, or otherwise NIRF or NAC, if you see, so the most of the significant weightage in NBA out of 1,000, 200 marks are assigned for what? These things: research, consultancy, and then IPR related things, student project, development work by faculty members. So they are very sincerely and seriously driving this culture of research. Now, for that matter, if we come to NIRF, again, 250, significant weightage is given to research and what? Innovation. Now, if you see, right? And for that matter, if we see NAC distribution, so 500, 150 marks are there for just research and, oh, sorry, extremely sorry. Just somebody can just like, and get, suppose screen is visible. Yes. So now if you see here, NBA 200 marks, right? And then for that matter, MAC, yes, NAC is again, like if you see NIRF is 250, NAC is 150. So significant weightage has been given to these activities, research related activities, right? So now we can understand like where we are and like where we need to go. So basically, few performance parameters are there, and we need to focus on those performance parameters if we want to like achieve like what goals like have been planned or have been said by our regulatory authorities. And for that, we need to like consciously prepare ourselves. And there are certain performance parameters or requirements, and we need to systematically understand those parameters now. Now, if you see any government college in our country, for that matter, let us say we'll start with IITs, NITs, or triple ITs. Now, if you see the faculties are like extraordinary faculty members are there in those institutions. Facilities, like no need to tell you, like extraordinary facilities are there, and the finance. So faculty, facilities, and finance, these three things are very important for any institution. If these three things are there, then naturally that place will be emerge as a powerful place as far as research and like innovation is concerned. So these three things are very important, and government has been systematically like providing us that insight that everyone need to focus on these three things. If these three things are good, then naturally rest of the things will be taken care by its own. Okay, so now key performance indicators. So now we will see that now like we can understand whether an engineering institute or a technical institute, how is it performing basically, like whether the research or innovation or like allied things are whether correctly happening in those institutions or not happening or not. So we can very systematically verify that. And for that, few basic indicators are there. Now, if suppose employability, see, it's not required that 100% should be 100% student should be placed in like an industry. Even if suppose a institution is imparting, let us say, good quality contents, and if suppose like around on an average, let us say 70% students, 70 to 75% students are getting placement regularly, and they're employable. I mean here the kind of content delivery, the applied content delivery, right? As far as like industry requirements are concerned. So curriculum is, let us say, industry aligned, and the students are employable, and at least 70 to 75% students are getting job regularly. Then we can say that, okay, that institute is doing well. Similarly, the next thing is what higher studies. On an average, if suppose in any academic institution, if suppose 10 to 15% students every year, if they are going for higher studies in IITs or anywhere abroad, let us say in good universities, then we can say that fine, that institute is on the track. Similarly, if suppose some percentage of students, we cannot expect everyone to be entrepreneur, but at least 2 to 5% students, if suppose every year they are starting their own enterprise and they are contributing in job creation, we can say that like, yes, that institute is doing good, right? And then the consistent growth. So consistent growth here, it has like many dimensions. Students are getting placed, students are learning good things, faculty members are like performing very well, cadre ratio is consistently changing, assistant professor, associate professor, professors, right? They are also growing in their career, and institutions are also growing as far as some rankings are there. Now AICT has started a great like standard, right, framework, that is, let us say, NIRF is there, NAC is there, and then accreditations are there, NBA accreditation is there. So every year, if suppose that institution is improving and there is like a significant growth, you can like measurable growth is there, then we can say that institute is what on the right path. And then finally, if suppose industry is coming to campus, industry is coming with some problem, alumni. Now, after like, let us say 4 or 5 years, alumni will be settled in their career. And even after that period, if suppose they are coming to campus, they are coming with some problem. And if suppose the campus is supporting, the institute is supporting them with the solutions, correct solution, right solutions, then that interaction will grow. And if suppose such interaction is happening in the campus, it means that institution is on the perfect path, perfect track. And we know that any interaction with industry is very professional. So any interaction, whenever any interaction happens with industry, naturally it will turn into a revenue. And then research and revenue, we are all like aware about that. Research and revenues are very important like aspects, right? Okay, so since last 10-15 minutes, we are discussing about research and innovation, and every attendee is well aware about what is research and innovation, but still quickly we'll try to understand like what is research. So research is what? Knowledge creation. In simple term, if you see the dictionary meaning of research, research is what? Basically knowledge creation, right? And if you see innovation, innovation is what? Innovation is what? Monetizing that knowledge. So research means creation of knowledge, and innovation means monetization of that knowledge. So like, what is our role? Like what exactly we are supposed to do? right? So the thing is, we need to do both, basically. We need to do research and we need to do innovation as well, because they are interlinked, right? So as we say, research will generate the knowledge and we need to like generate revenue also. And with the help of that revenue, we need to further carry out our research, right? So these are the very basic, like what things which every institution and every individual should ensure, right? For like moving ahead in the career, or like in the what you can say in the direction or the set goal which is set by our regulatory authorities. Okay, fine. So we have discussed about what is reference, like what are the key performance parameters. Now, fine, like we understood that. Now we have to be part of this revolution, this change. But how to cope up with that and what exactly we need to do for that? Is there any plan? Is there any action plan? Is there any method, algorithm to achieve like what we have planned or what we are supposed to like achieve? So for that, is there any action plan? So yes, there is a very like what systematic and simple action plan is there. And if anybody follows that plan comfortably and effectively, we can like achieve that. So now action plan. So in action plan, like there are few things. So focus is one of the very important thing. Then the problem, then these are the few things basically. You may say it's a 7-step algorithm, right? And every stage is like we have been doing consistently since so many years. Now the only thing is what? If we are not doing it consciously, now we need to do it consciously, more consciously, right? So I'm sure every institute is doing this, but now we need to just bring little change in that, and with that little change, a significant outcome can be achieved. Okay, so we'll start with focus. So I hope I am audible. Can anybody just like let me know if suppose, please let me know if my screen is not visible or if I am not audible. Please let me know. So, Mr. Saurabh, uh, is everything okay? Okay. Okay. Voice is low. Voice is low. Now, how is, yes, now. Okay. Okay. Jigisha madam, thank you. Screen is clear, sir. Okay. Chandan sir, thank you so much. Right. So please let me know if suppose any issue is there with the audio or video. Okay. Fine. Fine. So now focus. So what is focus basically? We know everything about focus. So now if you see now in this world, 3 types of research is happening since long. So fundamental research forms the major chunk. So up to 2015, if you see there are 3 research: fundamental research is there, clinical research is there, and then experimental research is there. And you all are aware about what is fundamental research, clinical research, and experimental. Fundamental research, mathematical modeling, right? Clinical research, experimentation on like humans. You may be aware about subjects and trials, right? Device usability evaluations or otherwise drug trials, right? And then the experimental research. So everything is available. We create a setup, we apply existing understanding, and then like we draw some meaningful conclusions out of it, right? That means already knowledge is available. So we just change the domain of it, right? And if suppose some problem is there, so we use available knowledge and use that knowledge for solving the problem of other domains, right? Now, up to 2015, if you see, the overall picture was like this: 75% people, as far as academia or industry was concerned, like 75% like researchers used to focus on fundamental research. They used to do fundamental research. 20% people researchers clinical research, and 5% were like they were happy with experimental research. But now after 2015, there has been a shift basically, and that shift has been observed. And now if you see, it is completely flipped. And now 5% researchers are doing fundamental research, and a small change, incremental change is there in the clinical research, and most of the research is happening in experimental. Most of the research is now experimental because there are so many problems around us, right? In our context, if you see, there are so many problems, right? And earlier, peoples from Israel, researchers from Israel used to solve our problems sitting there in the Israel, right? But now we also realized we can solve our problem and we need solution right now, right? So based on that, now everywhere, like the same like logic is now they're valid in every part of the world. And now they are like focusing on their own problems and coming up with very novel solutions, right? And naturally, most of the what you can say that what you can say the chunk or the segment or most of the researchers are now doing experimental research, right? So now what is focus basically? So focus means what? Focus means what? There are so many meanings for focus, but here we mean focus means what we need to decide, like what not to do. Like that is always good. Like we have to decide what we want to do. That is there. That is always there, and that is required. But the time has come now. We have to decide now. We need to decide now what not to do, right? And accordingly, we need to like move ahead, right? It's suppose we don't want to do fundamental research, clinical research, right? Or let us say experimental research. So we need to decide what we don't want to do, and then accordingly we can plan, and we can articulate our resources. Time is very important resource, right? Conditions are there, like so many, like some external conditions are there. So we need to do SOW, right? We know that SWOT analysis, right? And accordingly, we need to decide like, what not to do, right? Fine. So the second thing is what problem. So if you see in any research, if you see, if suppose anybody want to be successful in any research, right? If you see any researcher in the history, in the past, right? So they solved some big problem. So problem is very important. Problem is very important. So for that, we would like to just understand few basic things with reference to that. Recently, like 2-3 years ago, I think in 2016-17, there was a movie, Baahubali, right? And it was like what a great change in even like film industry. We all are aware about that, and everyone like attending this session may have watched this movie, right? So now why everyone glorified Bahubali? We know that, right? If you remember, there was a villain, right? There was a villain now, and he was very ferocious. Now, if you remember, I'll just quickly play for you. So this was the villain, right? It was very ferocious, and the atrocities, and then what basically the injustice inflicted by these people was was unbearable. You know that, like how like an abusive language he used for their nation and their like in a state and their mother. Basically, we are all aware about that. And then like when the Bahubali kills such ferocious enemy, right? Everyone was like very happy, right? So there were many people, and there was a very serious problem. People were suffering, right? And one person came and he solved the problem, right? And that's why he was glorified, right? Similarly, now if you see another movie was there, KGF, if you remember. 20,000 people were suffering in that mines, right? If you remember, like that Garuda was main villain, and he was amazing. Means the struggle, and then the overall like what the story building like they have shown in the movie. You all are aware about that. So 20,000 people were suffering. It was a kind of slavery in those mines, right? And how this fellow comes and rescues those all 20,000 people, because 20,000 people were saying that this is the problem. They were facing severe problem. And this fellow came there, went there, and then he helped them and just brought them out of those miseries, right? There were problems, serious problems were there in that particular place. And then he was glorified like anything in the movie also, and then the movie was also super hit. We all are aware about that, right? Then the the Mr. Dhoni now, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. We all are aware about his like what strengths and contributions for our country. So why Dhoni was glorified? See, there are so many players Rohit Sharma is there, then Virat is there, but still Dhoni has a very different place. Sachin Tendulkar is there, but Dhoni is totally different. If you remember, Dhoni used to come to bat on sixth or seventh position most of the times. In earlier days, he used to like come very late on field, right? And when he used to come, like when like almost like our first like what a group of players basically, when they were out and almost like we are on the verge of losing the match. That time he used to come to bat basically. And we know very well, like he played very well with great maturity, great patience, right? and he helped us to win the match, right? You know that. That's why Dhoni is glorified uh, like very much, right? That's why he has different place in like everyone's heart, right? So just try to understand. So whenever there was a problem on field, Dhoni was there to rescue, right? Dhoni like translated that serious situation, that difficult situation into a favorable situation, right? He offered many solutions, right? And people started believing, even if it is like, let us say, 8 wicket down, and if Dhoni is there on the pitch, everyone was confident that yes, we can still win the match, right? World Cup matches also, you know very well, 2011, right? So the problem, wherever problem is there, this fellow provided the solution. That is most important thing. And then our own Mr. Bansal, Sachin Bansal, right? The Flipkart, right? So IIT Delhi graduate. So that time around 2004, 2001, 2005, that time student used to read textbooks, right? And that time the cost of textbooks used to be very expensive, and then the second hand books was the best solution for everyone, and there were like many exchanges for like second hand books that time. So Mr. Bansal like understood the requirement of the like what students, right, campus students, and then what he started in physical mode he starting selling those second hand books. And then he realized that physical mode cannot be scaled after certain extent. Physical mode cannot be scaled. And then what he did, he started an online portal in IIT campus, only IIT Delhi campus. And then he started those like selling that, in short, that business through that he through that portal basically, right? And then we know like what happened in next 4 5 years. He like come up with a new idea of like what e-commerce for our own country, and that Flipkart like came out of his like what efforts. And that time initially like we were very reluctant when the people of like India were very reluctant to like buy what you can say costly things online. So initially he started selling few basic things, right, which are very essential. And anyway, those like even if suppose they lose some money, they will never mind, right? So from that, like he very gradually developed that psychology, right? So you just see like how he understood the psychology, basic like what psychology of our own people, right? He understood their requirements, right? He understood their problems, and then gradually he developed the his cart, or otherwise like his menu, in short you can say, right? And then basically now like what happened to Flipkart and where Flipkart is now, Walmart, and that all like changes, you are very well aware about that. So just why we are discussing these people here, see, if you see these four people, these four persons, they understood the problem of or problem of their own people, right? They understood the problem of their own people, and then they suggested or they come up with a very realistic solution. And that's why these people are glorified like anything, right? So here problem means what? We need to do very important thing, that is need assessment. First of all, we need to understand, like whenever we choose any problem for research, so first of all, we need to understand the research community at large must admit that problem, right? So people should accept that that is the problem. Then only there is meaning choosing that problem statement. If suppose we cannot just contemplate or Google something and come up with our own problem statement, it's not possible. It's not possible. And that is not recommended. So first of all, that's why literature review is there, right? So what we do in prior art study or literature review, we try to understand like what are the problems in that particular area, right? And then what are the solutions offered by several researchers in that area, and what are the limitations in that area, right? And then based on that, we come up with, based on those research gaps, we come up with some solution, right? So that whole study is called as need assessment. So based on need assessment only, we can suggest some realistic solution. And then the solution must be in context with that geography. then only that solution will be glorified like anything. Most of the solutions which are available for our own problem nowadays are provided by Israel or China. You know that very well. And if you see the overall cost of most of the household like appliances or products, if you see, they're affordable to everyone, and that's why they're very successful, right? So here the like what you can say the bottom line is what, or the essence of like this small discussion is what, problem statement or the need assessment is very important component of research, and we should be very serious and sincere for identifying a good problem statement, right? And now there are various attributes for research, right? Creativity is one of the attribute, and we would like to just see like what is creativity now. No, you just see, research is very important, and there are so many attributes for research. But right now here, very like an basic few like attributes we are going to discuss. One of them is creativity. So as we were saying, we identified the problem. Now the context is very important, and then the solution is also very important. So it has to be like what affordable to those people. It has to be like what realistic, like feasible, like in all aspects, maybe like what you can say technical feasibility, aesthetic feasibility, or otherwise financial economic feasibility. There are so many tests basically, so it should be realistic, and we can achieve those things if we are very like what creative in very basic sense, right? Now just before some time we saw one simple advertisement, yatra.com, right? But how they like created like how they sensitized people, right? So it's a simple creativity, right? So this way we can also like focus on like our problems, and with simple discussions or otherwise like what focus on the problem statement, we can come up with some good solutions. There are so many attributes, but here right now we will be discussing only 4 attributes of research. The first was creativity. Now second is, you can just see now, you see just like something went wrong, and then so many people were there, right? So many people were there, but the only one fellow immediately like acted, right? So the app decision making. So whenever any problem is there, we should be yes, there were some messages like flashing in the chat window. Is everything right? Is it audible and visible? Okay, yes, thank you, Manu. Right. So the another aspect is what app decision making, right? If suppose the problem statement, you identified problem statement, so you need not just think about so many other things and waste your time. So we need to be like very apt on every decision. Otherwise, like what will happen? You started some problem statement, working on some problem statement, and you are like putting lot of efforts also and lot of time also. So before you or before us, then somebody else will come, right? So app decision making is very important. App decision. Okay, somebody is saying screen is not visible. Is it? Is it not visible? Can anybody, if suppose it is visible, can anybody? Okay. Anisha madam is saying yes, it is visible, right, madam? Visible. Okay. Okay. Pathak sir, thank you so much. Right. Okay. So now you can see. So this is one of the aspect. Now another aspect we will see. Another aspect of research. You just see. You know that, like you must have watched this movie. So there was no fault of Dev Sena here, right? But somehow, like she was about to get punishment, right? But Bahubali came, and because of its right stand, what happened? We know that. So similarly, there are so many other activities in any educational institution, right? So many activities are there, right? So we need to take a right stand, right? There are so many shortcuts also. Now, for example, as far as research is concerned, publication is very important part, right? Because publication will give you that what authentication, right? publication is kind of like what you can say endorsement by research community. If we are publishing our work in very what you can say reputed, standard, peer-reviewed international journals, it means that like we are getting endorsement. Like research community is endorsing that, right? But there are so many shortcuts as well, right? There are so many other journals, so we should never like go for those journals, right? And that is what right stand. See, there are many shortcuts, but like a sincere and honest research is the only like what shortcut. In fact, we should take that shortcut, right? Efforts, sincerity, seriousness, right? So these are basic shortcuts. So we should never look for any other shortcut, right? And there are so many administrative works. There are so many like other works also. So we need to make a conscious decision. It doesn't mean that we should not participate in any administrative work. That is our basic duty. Nowadays, like we are in a like what multidisciplinary role, right? And we have to do everything. The only thing is what very right balance is required. And that balance, there is no standard algorithm, there is no standard procedure, because we know like in which situation we are, right? And for that we need to work out some model, right? And we need to decide, right? Okay. Fine. So this was one of the thing. And then the one more attributes of research we will discuss, and then we will move ahead. We know that, right? There were so many eligible commanders in the royal court of Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj, but that opportunity was given to young Peshwa, Bajirao Ballad, right? So we know that, like he got that, right? So basically, meaningful conclusion. Meaningful conclusion is again very important thing. So we carried out research, we did everything, right? But if suppose we are not documenting it, we are not like drawing meaningful conclusions out of it, right? So we may not be able to convey like what we did to the research community at large. So I hope you understood this. So these are the research attributes. Fine. And then we need to like focus on that. Then the third stage is what? Don't wait. Don't wait means what? See, generally like what we carry in our mind. Okay, if we want to do research in a particular domain, first of all, we need to learn all intricacies of that subject, right? The entire like what discipline we need to assimilate first, and then only we should start, right? So you just try to understand. Now, if you see this picture, in this picture, what is happening now? Like let us say this is one lady, and she is just finding one address, and she is asking like, and she is directing this lady. So she is just like directing this lady where to go, how to go, right? So the research is also just like that. Research is also just like that. Even if suppose we don't know many things, no one knows everything in a particular domain. And we need not wait for that, right? We know that like so nowadays GPS is there. And if suppose we are driving a car to a particular location and somewhere like we are lost, let us say. So what we do, we take help of any pedestrian, right? And the way this lady is doing, we do that. So similarly, here also we should do that, right? And very basic things are required to start with research. One of the subject is what? Geometry. Basically trigonometry we should be very good in, and then linear algebra, and then any programming language such as Python, C, or MATLAB, any one of them, irrespective of any branch. Right now I'm saying, right? And then nowadays, like what happened, so many libraries are there. Even if you see C, C++, Python, or any MATLAB also for that matter, so many libraries are there. What you can do, you can just take those libraries, you can patch them together, and then you can just like solve particular like what, or you can implement something which can like serve your purpose, right? So these are like a few things basically. And even if after that also, if you are facing some problem, there are so many experts in your institute or nearby institute, or otherwise there are conferences are there, different workshops are there, and they are for the networking purpose only. So you can develop networking there. Or otherwise, so many experts in IITs, IIScs, ICERs, and other academic institutes, they are available. You can write them email and take their help. Even industry professionals are there. So no need to wait. If suppose you got one problem, you identified one problem. If suppose there is a problem at your hand, no need to wait, and no need to just like invest a lot of time in developing what basic skill set. basic skill set, right? So you can very easily start with the help of like available ecosystem. Okay, so that was about the thing. Then the teamwork is very important. Basically, team is required. Without team, it's not possible. Without team, it's not possible. This is one of the academic institution in our country, and its name is Shri Guru Govind Singh Ji Government College of Engineering and Technology, Nanded. Another institution is there. This is Government College of Engineering, Pune. As an example, like I'm using some institutions. This is Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and this is Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Now, in these four institutions, few things are very common. Now, SGGS is representative of all government and non-government engineering colleges, right? So you can see, like, if you see, just visit the website of these institutions and see their publications. In every publication, you will find minimum 4 to 5 authors. What does it mean? It means they collaborate with each other, right? Interdepartment, within department, interdepartment, inter-institute, right? So there are like, there are no boundaries for them, right? And they believe that, okay, I am good in one, like what you can say domain, and other person is good in other. So let us collaborate and resolve, like, that problem, basically solve that problem. So collaboration is very important. Collaboration is, it means teamwork, right? So we should be able to get a good team, to form a good team, right? So that is very important thing. And teamwork means what? Teamwork is very important. Somehow, like what we like did, basically, we misunderstood the meaning of teamwork. Basically, teamwork is totally different. Like we will see quickly. So within department, so first of all, we need to see, like, if suppose any support is available in the department, right? So generally we look for outside people. So if it is possible, first of all, we should see if expert is available in our department. If not, other departments are there in our institute, so we should try to collaborate with them. Alumni are there. Now they are placed in very good industries, right? And they are doing good. So we can take their help, right? Small scale industries are there. See, in every country, so in every district, basically, in every state, every district, wherever our colleges are, at least some small, medium enterprises are there, and they are having a lot of problems, right? So we can just like tie up with them. We can solve their problem. We can teach them something. We can learn from them something, right? So this way we should like, develop the ecosystem, basic ecosystem, right? And like what happens, like any team, like whenever we are forming a team, we should be very clear about the takeaways. We should be very clear about the benefits, what benefits our partner is getting, right? Or will be getting. That we must be very clear. If suppose I'm taking help of another teacher, other teacher, or a student, let us say, or industry professional. So I should be very clear. If suppose any patent come out of it, he will be one of the inventor. If any publication comes out of it, he will be a author of it, right? Co-author of it, right? So we should be very clear for that. So teamwork means what? This video you must have watched many times on WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and many places. You just see here, there are so many people. There are so many people teamwork. But what they did, if you see in slow motion, everyone is doing his own work, right? Everyone is doing his own work, if you see, right? So teamwork doesn't mean that everyone is doing same work, right? So everyone, like if you see some small responsibility they have taken and very systematically they are doing. And because of that, you just see the time, right? This is F1, right? And you know that, right? Formula One. And then you know that, like, what is significance of time in those races, right? But because of a very systematic teamwork, very quickly they like did what they want, right? So this is very important, basically. So this is very important, basically. Okay, fine. Okay. And then one more thing we would like to like understand, whether it is a student group, for example, or our team, any team, let us say. So we need to understand few things. So let us say this is one performer, right? So with this simple small video, we'd like to understand that. He has everything clear in his mind. He is like decided to do something. So another, like in any team, and you can fit this example anywhere for your project group, student project group, or your research team. So some students, some team members are very much like motivated, and by their own they like systematically work and contribute. Right? There are few they may not be like that much effective, right? But we need to give them training, right? There are some, they may not be directly contributing, or like, they may be creating some problems, right? Again, like we need to identify those things. So we cannot continue like this, right? Because a team is like significant size is there, right? Significant work is there. And this way, if we continue, it will take a long time. So what is our role in those cases then? We need to take the charge of the situation and we need to take a stand, right? Then only now like a discipline will be there in the team, right? So timely reviews are required, right? Rewards are required, penalties are required. Then only like it is possible. May it be a student group, may it be like your research team, right? So everywhere, basically, some discipline is required. And for discipline, for bringing that discipline, we need to take the charge of the position situation. Then only it is possible, right? Okay. Now, then after that, okay, team is there. Now the mindset. So mindset is very important, right? Mindset is very important. Now, if you see resources in any academic institution, resources are very important. Like what assets, right? And in them, like if you like see all resources in them, student capital is most important. Number of students and the quality of students, they are very important basically, and they are available free of cost. You see any academic institution, right? They join that academic institution to contribute, to learn and to contribute, right? So we should be able to make good usage of those like resources, right? You can just see now in any average institution, if you see after like in third year, second semester, around what sixth or seventh semester, they will be placed in good industry. And on an average any student will get at least a package of 4 lakh rupees, right? I think you will agree on this, right? So every student will get minimum package of 4 lakh rupees, and in any academic institutions, at least 1,000 students are there. Minimum 1,000 students are there. And now if you multiply this, what will be the number? You just see. So right now, in every department and every academic institution, we have resources worth 40 crores. We have resources worth 40 crores. You just imagine there is a startup, and if suppose we give them resources worth 40 crore, like what they will do, what kind of like change they will bring, what kind of outcome they will deliver, right? Right. So we need to be like entrepreneur now, because we have very good resources. Every college has good infrastructure. If not, we should like do follow for that, right? And even if like resources are also like, see, in any research, resources are very important, but still up to some extent we can take help from other institutions also, right? And the most important resource is human resource, right? And then the students are very young, very intelligent nowadays, you know that, right? The students are, they have got all kinds of exposure, technology exposure, right? And they're very bright, very intelligent, right? And such students are available at our hand, right? At our hand, right? And we can very comfortably systematically plan. We should very systematically plan those resources, utilize those resources, right? So any small scale industry, if we give such resources, they will at least bring like 10 times revenue from those resources. Here we are not talking about resources, right? Or revenue, sorry, revenue. We are not talking about revenue, but we should be like intelligent enough, organized enough to make good usage of those resources. See, the students are keys. They are very intelligent. Every student has something special. There are many locks in this world. Many problems are there. Each lock is a problem. And there are many keys, and that each key is nothing but our student. So we need to just identify which key is made for a particular lock. We need to just do that pairing. That's it. And then everything will be taken care. So the resource utilization is very important. And for that, we need to carry a mindset of entrepreneur. So entrepreneurial mindset is very important, and we are entrepreneurs basically. Okay. Then after that, repository. So here again, like I would like to just share three stories. He is Dr. Manjunath Mahadevappa. He is Dr. Jayanta Mukhopadhyay. Both are professor at Computer Department, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. Dr. Balkrishnan, his professor was head of Computer Department in IIT Mumbai. And then he's Dr. Himmatrao Bavaskar. So these four teachers have something special. What is that, right? So project repository. Dr. Manjunath and Dr. Jayanta Mukhopadhyay, right? They have developed a very great hierarchy, right? Both are professors in IIT Kharagpur. So like whenever they work on any problem statement, they create a hierarchy basically, right? They have a hierarchy basically. So on every problem statement, they deploy one PhD student, two master students, and four BTech students, 4 or 8 BTech students, right? So PhD student will modularize his research work and will assign it to masters. And then again, the master student will further fragment it and assign it to BTech student. And both the teachers, they systematically take reviews, timely reviews. Every fortnight, everyone has to, no PPT, nothing. If it is coding related, if it is design related, directly they will discuss on that, right? And both are like very excellent, like they have excellent track record, excellent technical understanding. There at that moment, they resolve any query, any problem if suppose students are facing. So that hierarchy is very important. And whatever small, big work every student, every project group is doing, every student group is doing, they have created a project repository out of it. And because of that, what happened? If suppose every new coming batch, they assign around like 1 month time to that new incoming batch, and then that new incoming batch, they will understand like what their seniors did or have done, right? And then they build from that stage. 1 month they take for understanding, and in most of the cases in BTech group, how they form the group, if suppose there are 4 BTech students, so 3 are or 2 are, let us say, final year student, 1 is second year student or third year student, 1 is second year student. So this way they make the teams. Because what will happen, that legacy will be maintained. Even if suppose some students are now pass out, right? Third year students are there in the team to like take that work ahead, right? So this way, very intelligently, very smartly, they form their project groups, they form their project repositories, and very systematically they pass on that understanding, that KT we generally say, right? Knowledge transfer to their juniors. And this way, very systematically they are doing. And if you see, they have a very successful model for this. And if you see there, like you can just go to Google Scholar. Most of the transactions, like in IIT KGP, are on their name because very methodically they are carrying out research. Similarly, Dr. Balkrishnan at IIT Kharagpur, we generally see, IIT Delhi. So we generally see that research means something big. Now, Dr. Balkrishnan has been working on a smart cane, which is used as a mobility assistive aid for blind people, right? He has developed one cane. IIT Delhi is very well known for that cane, right? And Rockwell Foundation supported them with a very high grant, basically. I believe something around 30 crore rupees, right? So, and now if you see the what ingredients of that cane, basically, simple small microcontroller is there, some small sensors are there. But if you see the algorithms they implemented, the problem they solved, it's amazing. It's a real world problem is there. A very cost effective solution they have provided. So this is amazing. So research require resources, but doesn't mean that only high-end tools and technologies can solve the problem. It doesn't mean that. If they are there, fine. If they are not there, then also fine. In that case, we need to collaborate with some institutions, some industries, wherever those resources are there. And these 3 persons are the role model for that. Very systematically, with the help of project repository, they are passing that knowledge to every new incoming batch, right? And then the last one is Dr. Himmatrao Bavaskar. He's a doctor by profession, medical doctor, right? So in Chandrapur area, you may be aware about that. Chandrapur, Gadchiroli is part of Maharashtra, and it's a jungle area basically. And there was very serious problem in that area, snake bite or scorpion bite. And those poisonous snakes, there are many poisonous like species, snake species or scorpion species are there in those areas. And if suppose snake bite or scorpion bite is there, the subject generally like used to die that time, like around 15, 20, 25 years ago. So whenever snake bite or scorpion bite case used to come to PHC, he was posted in one of the PHC in Gadchiroli. Whenever such case used to come to his PHC, within 1 hour, patient used to die, that subject used to die. And there was no remedy, there was no solution available anywhere, right? Even the similar problem was there in South African countries. You know, South African countries, like their geography also. So scorpion bite is very biggest problem in that region, was there in that region. And there within half an hour or maximum 1 hour, the patient used to die. And the entire research community were like working on it, but somehow there was no solution. And Dr. Himmatrao Bavaskar was also working on the problem with his student. And because of this project repository logic, like he was like experimenting on what you can say, there was a drug, anesthesia drug, Prazosine, and one drug which was related to blood pressure, right? So on that drugs, like he was working and he was administering those drugs in his like regular like what treatments, वगैरह. And once what happened, once one scorpion bite case came to his PHC, and then he was carrying out research very methodically, systematically. He was carrying out the research, and he was having some knowledge base, know-how before that. And then he administered that drug. It was a blood pressure drug, anesthesia related some drug was there. So he was just administered that drug, and it found like it proved miraculous drug, and he could save that patient. The earlier case, the similar patient used to die in just half an hour or 1 hour. But now because of that drug, he could save that patient. And it was a miracle. It was a miracle because the drugs were available. The drugs were available, right? He understood that drug very well and he changed the domain of that drug, anesthesia, blood pressure. And where is like that poisonous scorpion and snakes, right? So he just like understood that drug composition, everything. He understood the other problem as well. He changed the domain and he just administered, applied that like available solution to this case basically, right? And I'm like see, it's very like great. This is really great person in our country. You may be aware about Lancet, right? Lancet is what if suppose one person get one publication in Lancet in his one lifetime, that is a great achievement. Getting just one paper in Lancet is a great achievement, right? Great achievement. And it is really, really means, I'm very like what right now also like, and I'm feeling proud, that like Dr. Himmatrao Bavaskar has 22 Lancet publication on his name. And it is just because of this simple logic, simple research methodology, very methodical research he carried out, right? So 22 Lancet publications are there on his name. And it is all because of what? All because of what? Experimental research, his like what? Creativity, his consistent perseverance, right? So very systematically he is carrying out, or he was carrying out research with his like colleagues and his students, right? So in short, like project repository is very what you can say useful tool, and in every like institution it is there since long, right? And we can make it, and we can make its better use here on, right? Okay, that was one thing. And then the outcomes, basically outcomes. So outcome based work. So generally like whenever we work on any like assignment, any problem statement, any project, so we should be clear about few things. And we can derive like we can see this tree, basically coconut tree, and you know that there is nothing called waste out of this tree. There is no waste. If you see its leaves or branches, like these leaves basically. So earlier days, like people used to make brooms out of it. Nowadays also, right? And then the coconut, it's a fruit, like you know that, right? Then the husk, right? Trunk is fuel, husk is fuel basically, right? And then the wood basically, and even like that for dishwashing, also like the remnants of this tree are used basically. So what I mean here, there is nothing called waste as far as this tree is concerned, and we can follow the same like approach for our research as well. So as we discussed, like if we are working on anything, any problem, any project, anything, if we are working on, so first of all, we should see some prototype should come out of it. Generally, what happens whenever we are part of any student project, whether we are student or whether we are teacher, and when we are working in that group basically. So generally it happens like one day before the project, last night, up to last night of demonstration, the project works very well. But on the day of demonstration, I don't know like what happens and it never works basically, right? So there are different like things related to that. Anyway, we don't want to get into them. But if we mm, take reviews, if we plan the reviews very systematically, fortnight reviews or like let us say weekly reviews, monthly reviews, whatever, like if we divide the entire task into modules and then if we implement a good review strategy, comfortably we can achieve this prototype because 100% it will work and without any like problem. All days it will work without any problem, not on the day of examination, but like whenever it is ready, since that time it will work. So for that, a simple planning is required. So anyway, the essence is here, if we are working on a project, so first of all, we should see it should be working. It should be working, right? And we only define the specifications. So we should be able to like measure those specifications, right? And in those like, it should be true in or qualify on those all aspects or on those all specifications. So there should be a prototype, right? If suppose prototype is there and then it is solving some problem and some novelty is there, that much analysis we can do, right? Or otherwise we can take help of somebody else, some like an attorney or some lawyer, IPL and IPR lawyers, we can take help of them. And we should always see if suppose it's patentable, if suppose some inventiveness is there, some incremental novelty is there, right? So we should always go for filing a patent. If not a patent, we may file a design. If not design, then at least like codes are there, like codes are there. So copyright also at least like we can try, right? And then first preference should be a journal publication and it should be a quality publication, right? It's a quality publisher like IEEE, Springer, elsewhere, right? And so many other quality publishers are there. And in every publisher, hundreds of journals are there, right? So we should identify those journals, right? With some good impact factor. Well, like means the community has already accepted some publications, right? So we should go ahead with those publications, right? So first of all, we should try for a journal publication, right? And simultaneously, we should like, if suppose possible, and if it is really helpful, if it is like, if you think that it solves relevant problems, meaningful like problems, then you can write some proposal on that particular project or that solution, right? And we may submit like AICTE has many schemes, right? One of the very important scheme is RPS. AICTE has 100 plus schemes, right? And we can submit it there, right? DST is there. There's so many funding agencies are there. You're already well aware about those agencies. So we can submit a proposal. And when we get funding, then we can carry out good research. Without funding, it's not possible, right? And this way only we should generate good problem statements, good know-how, and based on that, we should try some funding, right? And then if suppose if it is not possible journal publication, at least we should like find some incremental novelty or add some incremental novelty and make a proof of concept and may like transfer that technology to industry, right? And then industry may add something. If even if that is not possible, then we should identify a good conference, and in that conference we can try publication in that conference, right? And if not, if nothing is working, code is there, so we should try some copyright. Because see what happens now with this, a very like analytical process will start. Analytical process will start. And if suppose for everything like what we are doing, if suppose some output is there, then everyone will be getting something. And that is a great motivation. When we get something, naturally it derives like it helps us to derive inspiration, motivation, and contribution in turn, right? So that is very important. I hope like the point is clear, right? So this was all about the action plan. And now in last like 1.5 hours, like what we discussed, the general summary is what, so the most important thing is what, whenever we want to do any research, need assessment is what very important, right? Requirement analysis is very important, right? And based on requirement analysis, need assessment only, we may get a good statement, good problem statement. So problem identification forms what you can say 60% part of our research. A good problem, good solution then will come, right? And good solution means great recognition will be there, right? Okay. So motivation always beat mere talent. We generally think that, see, talented, everyone is like almighty, the Shri Bhagavan has given intelligence to everyone, right? So everyone is talented, right? But generally there are certain like what conceptions are there. What if you want to work in this area, extraordinary talent is required, extraordinary skill set is required, extraordinary preparation is required. That is true. If it is there, that is true. But that's why collaborations are there. That's why teamwork is there, right? So we need to identify our strengths, right? At the same time, where we fit, right? And where others fit in our team, right? And that way we can do that, right? Motivation is very important thing. That passion is very important thing, right? So passion drives everything. That most motivation drives everything. And if suppose passion is also there and then talent is also there, there is nothing like that, then, right? And then if we are motivated, somebody else is talented, somebody else is like expert in domain, right? Fine. That also works very well, right? You know that in any cricket team, not everyone is bowler and not everyone is batsman and not everyone is like a keeper, right? Wicket keeper. You know that like everyone has a role to play. And even if he or she plays a role very systematically, like it is what the outcome is what a great win, right? Okay, so the summary is what everything like whatever we will do, it should be outcome based. Something meaningful should come out of our work. That is a single point. What you can say, your goal, our goal has to be right. And you know that like whenever like see these all academic institutions are very powerful places because many managers, many CEOs are coming out of those places, right? Entire industry like academia is driving entire industry, right? Because the workforce, the human resources which are required to drive industry, we are producing those human resource, right? That technical resource, right? So basically, academic institutions are very powerful places. And we are already working in those powerful places, right? And we know that powerful people comes from powerful places. So we are already, our places are already very powerful and we all are very powerful. The only thing is what we need to just understand. We need to just understand that. We need to just realize that strength and we need to start working on that. And then the last thing, which is very important, that strength we will get if we are able to solve the problems, the real world problems. If we are able to solve real world problems, then definitely that strength will come by its own, right? So thank you so much. This was all about this session. Now the forum is open. If you have any query, any question, any suggestion, so you may request administrator for like access rights. You may unmute your mic and we can have discussion. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Saurabh. Yes, Mr. Saurabh, are you there? Okay, just a minute. Give me 1 minute. I'll just contact them.
Shripad, do we have anybody taking on the queries?
Yes, sir. I think like faculty members may be having some questions. So
100% Shripad, 100%. There will be many more interaction. There will be people who would be surely coming out with lots of queries, But the
yes,
question is, let us be very clear in talking. Anybody who has a query, anybody has a recommendation, suggestion, ladies and gentlemen, you are requested to please write it down in the chat box. I think the best way is you write it down in the chat box, and that is where exactly speaking, then we will take on the queries to with the resource person. Shripad, I think you will start getting.
yes, sir.
So do
Yes.
we see the first one coming? Can you read the chat box?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can read. And the first question I can see here, like how to measure. Okay, it is okay. How to measure problem statement? I think is saying. Just a minute. I missed that question. Sir, I'm just scrolling down. Yes.
See, the most of the messages would surely about a fantastic session.
Thank you,
So
sir.
that's exactly it's we. The question is, somebody has asked a question, how to motivate students for entrepreneurship rather than placements?
Right. Right. Okay, sir. So, sir, may I start with answering those questions?
Please, Shripad, it's yours. Platform is yours only.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yes. Right. Okay, fine. So this is a very good question. So the question is how to motivate students for entrepreneurship than placement, right? So see, uh, basically, students are like very much inclined for entrepreneurship. They are very enterprising. They are very enterprising. The only thing is what uh, we need to provide them a good solution. If suppose if somehow if it is possible, we should make them communicate with real stakeholders. Now I'll just tell you a story, simple story. Now, what in Nanded there is one college called Government College of Engineering Nanded. That is Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Government College of Engineering Nanded, and there is one very senior professor. Right now, he is director of that institute, Dr. Yashwant Joshi. So he used to make students to interact with stakeholders. Now, for example, some blind people are there, right? And they need some help, for example, right? So he used to ensure students, like if suppose working on a project, if suppose they are solving some problem that let us say related to assistive technology, let us say. So he used to ensure students interact with those stakeholders, the real true, what you can say, users in this context, blind people, right? And then the people, students used to go to let us say those uh, what you can say blind forums, and then the blind users, visually impaired users. Several agencies are there, several blind schools are there. So students used to go to those schools. They used to interact with blind people, and they used to go there with a predefined structured questionnaire, and they used to interact with them, right? And then generally what happens, like they used to articulate requirements from those blind students, blind people. And when they noted down or used to note down those requirements, they used to realize, oh, these are the real life problems, right? And the moment like when they start hearing about the problem, a solution used to come in their mind, right? And they used to apply their technical understanding, what they learned in their academics. They used to apply that, what you can say, understanding to solve that problem. So this way student were getting, or student get motivation. And when they solve real world problem, they design something, they give to those real users. And when they start something like they design, they made, somebody using it and getting benefited, right? And their quality of life is getting improved. That pleasure, that experience is different, right? And then naturally, that derivation, that hunger will increase. And then those students and similar student set of students, they will try to contribute more. So this was just a simple example. And to be precise, the answer is what? We should provide more exposure to our students in terms of problems. And second is what? The people, the stakeholders which are like suffering from those problems, right? And we should make them interact with those stakeholders. And then naturally that hunger will increase, and they will more inclined for entrepreneurship than just simple placement. Fine. Is it possible to start experimental research without fundamental research? Okay. The question is what? See, sir, here, yes, Dr. Just I missed it now. Questions are coming. Okay. Okay. So yes, Dr. Sarmaraj. Yes. So how is it possible to start experimental research without fundamental research? Yes, it is not possible, right? So already like fundamental research has reached up to a certain extent, right? So fundamental research has reached up to a certain extent. Know-how is there, right? So what I mean and what I said is what, sir, basically. So what is available? Whatever mathematical understanding is developed, right? And theoretical background is developed, we should use it, and we should deploy or apply that understanding to solve a problem, the current problem which people are facing, which industry is facing, right? So here, yes, as you said, without fundamental research, practical research or applied research is not possible. But here, what I mean and what I meant basically, available fundamental research, available know-how we need to use, and we need to use it to solve existing problem. See, there are two ways. We can keep on adding into fundamental research and we never know when that models will be used. But right now, thousands and lakhs of models are there. Theoretical understanding is there. So I mean, we should use that and we should apply it for solving a real world problem. That was the essence of the message. That was the message and that was the essence of discussions, right? Is research expected from every institute, especially those having only graduate courses and limited resources? Okay. Yes, Dr. Bamnote. Okay, fine. So yes, so is research expected from every institute? See, sir, the research is expected. Actually, we would put it different way. It's not a compulsion. Research is not a compulsion, basically. Now, research has become now. If see the future right now, the time in which we are right now living, and we are moving ahead. So that era is totally different. Here, in near future, knowledge is going to be the currency, new currency now, right? So knowledge is going to be a new currency. Now, for that matter, if you see Israel, only 80 lakh people are there. And most of the, suppose 100 Nobel laureates are there in this world, almost like 82 Nobel laureates are from Israel. So 80 lakh people and 80% Nobel laureate, 80% researchers, 80% inventions are coming from those small countries in Europe and then let us say Israel for that matter, right? So, and you know that what technology they are developing, how they are developing and how they are moving ahead. So basically research is what basic hygiene nowadays, right? And for coming period, it's a basic hygiene and it's not an option basically, right? Learning means what? Research basically. Hereafter, what we are teaching to our student, we can teach them better if we are good in research for that matter, right? If we know the research will ensure we are very much relevant to the time. We know that, right? People keep on telling us there is a significant gap between industry and academia. So why is it there basically? Why that? What is the gap basically? So the gap is the same thing basically, right? So our teaching should be very much relevant to the industry. And when will it happen? When we do research. So it doesn't matter whether we are in an undergraduate institute or a research institute or an industry. Research is basic hygiene. Research is our day-to-day activity here onwards. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so while reading technical papers, is there any efficient methodology one should follow in order to accelerate the quality of research process, all the while making research outcome oriented? I find myself going through one reference and then another and cycle continues like this without much outcome. Yes, excellent question, Mr. Dr. Amit Jain. It's really it's a deadlock situation and it's a very good question basically. And in my early days also, I also went through the same stage and I'm sure everyone must be going through this phase. Yes. So is there a strategy or a very algorithmic procedure? Yes, it is there. It is there. And it's a collective wisdom. What I learned from SJGS Nanded, Government College of Engineering, IIT Kharagpur, and the most important Vishwakarma Institute of Technology. It's a collective wisdom. And just I would like to share that. See, basically what happens whenever we read a paper. So first of all, a simple logic is there. Let us say you got a problem statement. So first of all, you should find a maximum, let us say 60 papers, all journal papers. You should find some good journal and you should get some 60 odd good papers in that area. All should be journal paper. None of them should be a conference paper. And from a very reputed publisher. Now, as far as electrical engineering is concerned, IEEE is there, computer, electrical, IT, ENTC engineering is concerned. Let us say IEEE is one of the publishers. So we should get hold of those 60 odd papers. And then initially what we should do, we should read abstract first. First, very important thing is what? Abstract. Abstract is very important thing, right? And then directly we should go to related works. Related works creates a very good discussion in chronological order. related works or literature review or a prior art. So first is abstract, second is related work, and then we should directly we should jump to conclusion, or let us say discussion, because in abstract, any author will propose or will mention or will just give a bird's eye view about his solution, about his own proposal, right? So the abstract is very important that way. Right? Abstract is a mini paper in that way, in one sense, right? And then we will understand, okay, what is the area, like what was the problem and what is the solution he offered, right? So from abstract, we will understand that. We should create an Excel sheet, and in that Excel sheet, we can write down this. What was the area, what was the problem, and what solution he suggested, right? In Excel sheet and column format, we should do it, right? Only with 60 papers, initially we are going ahead, all good papers, right? And then we should go to conclusion or discussion. Generally, every author in conclusion or in discussion, they write limitations of their solution. So already in related work or in prior art or otherwise in literature review, already author has mentioned, she has given a complete picture basically, right? Of let us say 20, 25 years. And then now in conclusion, the authors are mentioning about limitations of their own work, right? So this way we will understand everything, right? And now initially in phase one, we should do these things only: abstract, related work, and conclusion. This is first phase. And for all 60 papers, we should follow this, right? Now we will get research gaps, right? Research gaps. And then based on those, we can create some strategy. Right? And then after that, we should start reading the method. Method is very important part. So every author mentions the technology, the conceptual, like what work they did, any algorithm they developed, any hardware, any software they used, right? Any moving, non-moving parts they used, anything, like they used everything. Whatever they used, they mention in the methodology section of their work, right? So then we should start reading about that, because now by that time we have a bird's eye view. We have a complete picture about the area, the problems, and then the solutions and their limitations. And now we can understand methods, right? And then gradually we can develop that understanding. So this way, this is one of the method. There can be many methods, but this is one of the method which I learned. As I said, it's a collective wisdom, and the people at VIT Pune, people at IITs, and people at IISCs, they follow such method basically, and proven results are there. So you may try this method as well. But of course, there are many other methods also, but this is one of the method. Okay, how to motivate graduate students for the research, and which semester is best to give it a start? Yes. So how to motivate? So motivate is what basically while teaching, while content delivery, if we could relate every concept with the help of, let us say, some real world deployment, then motivation will come. Initially, generally every teacher does that, some mathematical background, then some implementation related details and some deployment related details. If suppose we are using something, how it is deployed in industry, how that block is used in industry. So that way, some efforts we need to put in, but that will create interest among the students, right? And the best time is what? Best time, I would say, third year is the best thing. So basic understanding we should develop up to second year of engineering, and a test can be given. The initial research prashan ceremony we can start the way we have an Annaprashan ceremony. Similarly, we can start in the third year first semester. So third year first semester, we can tell them that, okay, we can expose them for a problem statement. And before that, up to second year stage, we should emphasize on some mathematical background, some implementation related details, available things which are there. We should help them to implement. The solution is there, problem is there, and they need to just rebuild it, reinstitute it, right? And some experimentation they should do third year onwards. So I believe third year is the best place, third year and final year for undergraduate studies. Anyway, masters and PhD students, they begin with research. Okay, how to improve crisp scientific writing skills? Is there any online resource for it? Yes. So for scientific writing, see, nowadays there are many tools and technologies available, and one of them is I personally have seen my colleagues also they are using, and good results they have got. Basically, Grammarly is one such resource, and Turnitin is like, anyway, Turnitin is a plagiarism software, but the technical writing as far as is concerned, so Grammarly is Grammarly. There are different verticals in the Grammarly. Different products are there in the Grammarly, and it's a proven basically. So they ensure a good technical writing. And I'm not promoting Grammarly, but this is as you have asked. So it's one of the tool you can use. Even Google is also good. You can type some like paragraphs. Already we type paper, complete paper, and then by paragraph, the first page. For whenever we write a paper, basically basic strategy is what I learned from my teachers. Generally, first we prepare a draft, and the moment we have a ready draft, we should read it. Second time, we should give it to our 4 different friends. One should be from our domain, one should be like not from our domain, right? And then two, you may decide basically. I can tell you other two also, but it may take long. So at least 4 friends you may find. One should be from industry for that matter, right? So, and one should be the user, like the end user, right? Layman, you can say. Layman, like who doesn't understand any technology for that matter. So you may just give that paper and they will read it, right? They will come up with some suggestions and then you can edit it. And finally, you can use Grammarly for any, like, let us say grammatical edits are required, right? So this way you can do it. It will take, after writing a paper, we should never immediately submit it. We should invest minimum 1 month of time. When you see that your manuscript is ready, so for 1 month, you should take reviews from your friends for 1 month, and then you should keep on revising it. And after 1 month, you should submit it. When the reviews, technical reviews, just like grammatical reviews, and then understanding related reviews, because in one of the sentence you express something, but somehow the meaning is not conveyed. So that way you can try. And on the basis of that, finally you can submit it. Okay. Can institutes of national importance provide facilities with access to labs? Also, professors voluntarily spend at least a week time in colleges. They're already doing. Now, for that matter, if you see IIT Bombay, they have developed one extraordinary virtual lab setup. And we are using in Pune University, Savitribai Phule Pune University, most of the engineering colleges utilize that support in the ongoing COVID situation. That was a great help. And AICT has already, like, AICT has been like instrumental in this. AICT has like connecting so many such institutions with privately managed institutions. And they're doing, that is available. AICT has started a great scheme that is distinguished lecture, right? And many colleges have benefited out of it, right? So already such schemes have been started by AICT, and they have been very meticulously implementing it, and they are ensuring that benefits are reaching to the end. So those details are there. For that, you may please visit AICT website. For that matter, even FDC section, if you go, you will get so many insights there. Okay, so this was okay. Then how to improve? Okay, then which one you give more priority as outcome, patent of publication? Okay, see, I would say both. So first of all, we need to complete our work. Then we need to just assess it for its inventiveness, its novelty. On 2 parameters, we should assess our work. First one is inventiveness. Second is novelty, right? And if you, even if barely pass those 2 criteria, you may say out of 100, even if we are getting, let us say 40%, then we should first go for patent. We should file a patent on it. Indian patents now, the right now, really the Indian patent process is amazing. Like within 3 months or 6 months, like we get entire communication. There are certain examples in 6 months patent has been granted as well, right? So it comes on table after every, like after a month, and examination starts within 3 months, and then the grant procedure completes by 6 months. So first of all, we should file a patent. And once we get a patent number, we may submit it as a paper manuscript to any publisher. So I would say both patent as well as publication, means journal paper, right? Both things are there, right? Okay. Dr. Chatterjee is saying powerful places, powerful people. Did not understand. So, sir, what I mean, see, the academia is the only place where where you are getting resources without, like as a teacher, you get many resources as far as, let us say, technical resources, some tools and techniques or equipments. Uh, before us, those things are already available in any academic institutes, right? Labs are there in any basic education institute, engineering institute, minimum, that 20 labs are available, right? Now, for example, Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, we have 127 labs in our institute for that matter, let us say. So, and every lab is equipped with good equipments, right? So that way you can see already some tools and technologies are available. Second, the young talented minds are available. Students, they are of this generation, right? Most of the students have very good understanding as far as programming is concerned. Their grasp is amazing, right? The only thing is what we need to shape them, right? So that way, academic institution, everything is there. Powerful means what? Everything is there. Facilities are there, faculties are there, finance is there, students are there, right? Everything is there, right? So now, recipe of success, what else is required for recipe of success, basically, right? All ingredients are available. So that's why I said the academic institutions are powerful places, right? And we are part of this powerful places, right? And naturally, like if such all resources are available, anything coming out, anyone or anything coming out of these places will be of great value, right? Okay. In your perspective, please tell everyone in this platform how many publications can an individual faculty publish? See, actually, um, count, we should never go by count, because whenever we go by a count, that pressure develops. And then because of that, and pressure is not good for any development, basically, right? Any research. So don't go by count how many papers like one should post. I would say problems, like how many problems like one should solve, basically. So yearly, one should solve at least one problem, one real world problem. One faculty member, one group should solve at least one real world problem with the help of fellow colleagues and students, right? And then, or like in the course of time, what will happen, such many solutions will develop. And then simultaneously, when we are working on a problem, simultaneously we should keep documenting the solution, right? And we should have good teams. Students will be the first, like what they will be writing first document, right? BTech students, master students, research students, and then we should also time to time we should keep guiding them. And a time will come, then naturally every year, just like a pipeline in processor architecture, we all are aware about pipeline, right? So it will become a pipeline then. And then the fixed length instruction concept, we know that, right? Every instruction takes same amount of time. And because of such know-how, knowledge base, right? Solution base, what will happen then? Then gradually after every year, one publication will be published in a good journal. Because publication, see, writing paper, carrying out a good research is in our hand, right? Writing good paper is in our hand. But the community, research community is there, right? Like for example, any like publisher is there, they have their own systems, mechanisms, they need time. So, and for a good work, minimum 1 or 2 years of time is required. Minimum a time of 2 years is required for a good publication of a transaction level or a journal level, right? So on an average, when we keep on developing such like knowledge base, then after some time, if suppose we start today, so after 5 years, every year, at least one publication will come. That's why in IIT, the same thing happens, right? IITs, IIScs, same thing happens. There after every semester, because see, most of the professors are PhD supervisors, right? And at every level, work is like, they are ensuring a good work. And then after a time, every semester or every work, good paper will come. So my answer is don't go by number, go by number of solutions, and naturally it will take you to significant publications. Okay. First patent and then publication. Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. I think, this way because your talk is so very appreciative, I think we need to, stop somewhere and we need to give you a break. It's a break which is desired by the speaker. You have been continuously online for, last 100 minutes. Exactly, it is 103rd minute as of now when you and me are talking again. So that's been fabulous. Let me also compliment each and every participant who have been connected with us today, that You have very nicely interacted with our resource persons for the day at a national level, speaking, on a topic which is so pertinent, and good that you people have come out with lots of recommendations, suggestions. You have come out with your queries. You have clarified your doubt. Dr. Shripad Bhatlavande will always be available to take on should you people feel that there are issues which still require clarity. You can always continue to mail to AICT. What at AICT we will do is that we will compile them and have it sent to Dr. Shripad Bhatlavande for his comments. Because I think it's time that we now, actually speaking, give a break to Dr. Shripad Bhatlavande for his fabulous session. It was absolutely wonderful, Shripad, having you on board. So AICT sincerely thanks your institute, VIT. Sincerely thanks you in person for sparing your time and coming forward and addressing each and every participant. And compliments to you for wonderful session and wonderfully taking on so many queries of the people. We look forward to many more larger associations with you in the times to come.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you, sir.
And I would like you to give.
Thank you, sir.
Not at all, Shripad. You have been great and you have been wonderful. Thank you. Thanks a lot to each and everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, all participants. Thank you, sir. Yes. So, sir, with your permission, may I stop presentation camera and these things?
Yes, yes, Shripad. It would be absolutely very much. And thanks once again.
Thank you, sir.